found out that our daughter had passed from the hotel. The fiance did not reach out to us at all.
So just when it seemed like the Ashlee Jenae situation couldn't get any more chaotic, even more wild details started coming out, and it's raising a lot of eyebrows. First, Joe McCann's ex-wife is now speaking up, describing him as an aggressive man who struggles financially, which is already adding a whole new layer to the story. Second, there's still no surveillance footage released from the luxury hotel, and people are seriously questioning why that's being held back. Third, the family has launched a GoFundMe while millionaire Joe hasn't stepped in to help, and reports say Ashlee didn't have money saved, which makes the situation even more troubling. Fourth, Joe reportedly waited 11 hours before contacting Ashlee's family about what happened, and that delay is making people uncomfortable. Fifth, there are claims that Ashlee asked for a phone charger shortly before she was found unconscious in her room, which has people wondering what really went down. This whole situation is unfolding fast, and it's a lot to take in. Now, it was already known that Ashlee and her fiancé had a serious argument before her passing, so intense that they had to be separated into different rooms. But now, there's talk about what may have caused that argument, and rumors suggest it could be connected to claims about Joe's aggressive behavior, with his ex-wife allegedly backing that up. But even if people are pointing at his alleged aggressive behavior, the real question is what actually set that argument off that night in Tanzania. Was it something that suddenly happened in the moment, or had tension been building the entire trip until it finally exploded? If you really think about it, the hotel staff were right there, and it's hard to believe they didn't hear anything, which is why more people are saying they should be properly questioned as this situation gets deeper. Now, here's where things get even more complicated. There have been claims that Joe was actually married, and while it's still unclear if he's officially divorced, there are multiple posts from 2021 to 2024 where he talks about his wife and his two very young kids. In one post, he even said, "My wife is black," during an argument on X, which caught a lot of attention. And on top of that, there are photos on his social media that appear to show the woman believed to be his ex-wife, along with several posts where she's tagged. At the same time, there are ongoing claims that he is divorced, but that hasn't been fully confirmed. And now this woman, said to be the wife or ex-wife, has allegedly been sharing her perspective. There are also reports floating around that he may have been married twice, but that hasn't been verified either. So it's important to keep that in mind. What really shocked people, though, is the claim from this woman that Joe is broke, which completely changes how people are looking at everything. Because when you connect that claim to what's happening now, it starts raising serious questions. Ashlee's family has a GoFundMe, yet Joe McCann is known as the founder and CEO of Asymmetric Financial, a big name in crypto and tech, with backing from major investors like Mark Andreessen. Yes, there were reports of heavy losses last year, but at the same time, he was still able to afford a luxury trip to Zanzibar, which makes people wonder how much he can actually contribute and what's really going on behind the scenes. Yet Ashlee's father, Harry Robinson, had to step in and launch a GoFundMe with a $50,000 goal just to cover the cost of bringing her body back from Tanzania to the US. And that alone has people talking. The money isn't just for transport either. It's also meant to cover travel expenses because the family is flying out to Tanzania themselves since they don't fully trust the story they've been given and want answers face to face. On top of that, they still have to prepare for a funeral, which makes the financial pressure even heavier. And this is where people start asking tough questions. Why isn't Joe stepping in to help with any of this? At the same time, others are also wondering if Ashlee had a successful business, then where is her money? Was it mismanaged, taken, or was there less there than people assumed in the first place? These questions are spreading fast, and everyone is trying to piece things together. Now, to be fair, some people are saying that if Joe is not involved, it could be because he's following legal advice to stay quiet and avoid interfering while an international investigation is ongoing. That explanation exists, but in the court of public opinion, it's not landing well at all. For Ashlee's grieving parents, seeing a wealthy fiancé not publicly contributing while her father is crowdfunding to bring her home is being viewed as a serious red flag. Unless, as some claim, he truly doesn't have the money people think he does. And after more digging, another detail came out that raised even more eyebrows. Reports suggest that Ashlee Jenae may have been the one who paid for the trip to Tanzania, since her name was listed on the hotel booking. In many luxury resorts, the person who pays is listed as the primary guest, and if her name was attached to a villa costing around $1,000 per night at Zuri, Zanzibar, That could mean she either covered the cost herself or had the credit line to secure it, which adds a whole new layer to the situation. Basically, if Joe was relying on Ashlee financially or using her platform to boost his image, then that flips the whole story and introduces a possible financial motive that people weren't even considering before. Everyone assumed he was the millionaire in control, but what if that picture wasn't as solid as it looked? And while many think Ashlee might have benefited financially from Joe, the reality can sometimes be the opposite, and that's a conversation more people are starting to have. Now here's where the rumors really start getting intense. Word is that Joe's ex-wife has been quietly hinting that his wealth might not be what it seems. Allegedly, she suggested that he has a pattern of juggling finances, relying on credit, investor funds, or even support from partners, all while presenting this polished millionaire image to the public. That kind of claim, if true, adds a whole new level of doubt to everything people thought they knew about him. And then there's another angle that has people talking even more: the insurance situation. Reports say Joe took a major hit in crypto, losing up to 80%, and that kind of loss would shake anyone's finances. So naturally, some people online started speculating about whether a life insurance payout could have been seen as a way to recover financially, especially if there was a policy involved. That speculation has been spreading quickly, even though it's important to treat it as unconfirmed. The theory being discussed is that there may have been a plan to present the relationship publicly in a strong, visible way, only for a tragedy to happen overseas where laws and investigations can be different. Some are even saying he might have believed something like that wouldn't draw major attention, which clearly didn't turn out that way. At the same time, others are pointing out that insurance companies have strict rules and don't just pay out under every circumstance, which makes the situation even more complicated and raises even more questions. While they were in Zanzibar, things took a very strange turn. A hotel attendant was reportedly doing routine rounds when they came across Ashlee, who was looking for a phone charger, and she allegedly asked them to bring one back. She told the attendant to return in about 15 minutes, which already feels like a very specific request that raises questions. Now here's where it gets even more unsettling. When the attendant came back, the room was locked and the lights were off, which immediately creates a tense situation. Using a spare key, the worker entered the room, and at that exact moment, Ashlee reportedly fell from where she was suspended. According to the attendant, once she was taken down, she was still breathing but unconscious, and she was rushed to the hospital, where she later passed away. But this timeline is leaving people with a lot of questions that aren't going away. Why was Ashlee urgently looking for a phone charger right before everything happened? Was she trying to call someone or possibly record something important? And what happened to that phone afterward? Was it ever recovered or examined? Then there's the question of Joe's whereabouts during that exact window. After they were separated earlier, has his location been clearly verified through CCTV or witnesses to confirm he never went near her room? That's a major gap people are focused on right now. And another detail that stands out is the use of a spare key. Even if a guest asked for something, would staff normally enter a locked room like that? Or was there something about Ashlee's earlier request that made the situation feel urgent? What's really bothering many people is that no security footage has been released showing who entered or left Ashlee's room. And that silence is only making the situation feel even more suspicious. Ashlee's father, Harry Robinson, has been very outspoken about the missing CCTV footage, and he's making it clear that this doesn't sit right with him. He's basically saying there are cameras all over a resort like that, so why not just review the footage and share what actually happened? The fact that the family is still pushing for answers suggests they either haven't been shown anything or what exists hasn't given clear answers. Now think about the setting for a second. A luxury resort like Zuri Zanzibar, where villas can cost over $1,000 a night, is expected to have high-level security systems in place. At the same time, these resorts are designed to feel private and exclusive, with separate villas and bungalows meant to give guests that peaceful, secluded experience. Because of that, cameras usually aren't placed inside rooms or directly facing private entrances, which is standard for privacy reasons. But even with that privacy setup, there should still be footage of the surrounding areas. Pathways, walkways, and shared spaces are typically monitored, which means there should be some record of who was moving around and who may have approached Ashlee's room. That's why people are so confused about what's actually been reviewed and what hasn't. Now, some of the claims going around online are getting very serious, with people suggesting that footage may have been tampered with or even removed, but it's important to treat those as speculation without confirmed proof. There are also rumors about possible interference with authorities, but again, nothing has been officially confirmed on that front. What has been stated publicly is that investigators in Tanzania have questioned Joe and are holding his passport while waiting for autopsy results. But at this stage, they've said no criminal charges are being pursued. That leaves a lot of unanswered questions, and people are still watching closely to see what comes out next. The situation is still under review as the investigation continues, and as of now, Joe hasn't been officially accused of any crime. But people are still asking why the autopsy is taking so long in the first place. That delay alone has started to make people uneasy, especially with so many unanswered questions still hanging in the air. And then there's the part that really hits hard. Ashlee's family said they first realized something was wrong when Joe McCann called to say she was in the hospital, but the details he gave were very limited. Her mother shared that when she asked what happened and where, he told her the incident had actually taken place about 11 hours before he contacted them, which immediately raised concerns. After that call, communication reportedly stopped, and the next update didn't even come from him. It came from the hotel, informing them that their daughter had passed away. That gap in communication and the delay in sharing information is one of the biggest issues people keep pointing out, and it continues to leave a lot of people deeply unsettled. And with all of these details stacking up, people are now zooming in on the timeline like never before because something just isn't lining up cleanly. From the moment Ashlee was last seen conscious to when she was found and then taken to the hospital, there are still gaps that haven't been fully explained, and that's exactly what's keeping this story alive. Another thing that has people talking is how little official information has been released overall. For a case getting this much attention, updates have been slow, and when they do come out, they don't answer the main questions people are asking. That lack of clarity is only pushing more speculation online, with everyone trying to connect the dots themselves. At the same time, Ashlee's family is still pushing hard for transparency because they want clear answers about what really happened in those final moments. They're not just looking for statements, they want proof, timelines, and evidence that actually makes sense. And until those pieces are put on the table, people are going to keep questioning everything surrounding this situation. Why did he wait 11 hours to make that first call? That's the question that keeps coming up again and again, and people are seriously wondering what was happening during that time. Was it just panic and confusion, or is there something more that hasn't been explained yet? And then, when you start hearing claims from the ex-wife describing him as aggressive and financially unstable, it makes people feel like there could be deeper layers to this story. There are even whispers about another woman possibly saying similar things, which only adds more tension to everything. At this point, the situation feels overwhelming, but the questions are not going away anytime soon. Why was Ashlee's name reportedly the one on the hotel reservation for such an expensive trip? If those claims about past behavior are true, have they actually been shared with investigators in Tanzania? What really happened during that 11-hour gap before her family was contacted? And then there are the biggest questions of all. Will an independent autopsy bring out details that match or challenge the official findings? And where is the CCTV footage that could clear up so much confusion? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more updates as this story continues to unfold.